I've seen a few other women on here talking about this, so I thought I'd join in because I think this is super, super, super important to talk about and not enough people talk about it. Here are some crazy rules that my ex-boyfriend had for me that I didn't think were toxic until we broke up. And yes, this is the man that the character William was based off of. And no, it's not my ex-husband. Please don't bring him into this. He's the most amazing man. So please, please, please just protect his privacy. Number one, I could not see a male doctor. He viewed me talking to any man, especially being in a room alone with any man, as cheating. So going to see a male doctor was completely off limits. Yes, even if it was just for like a routine medical care screening. And it didn't matter how old he was, if he was married, if he had kids, all of that, still considered cheating. I was not allowed to be friends with his female friends because he was scared that we'd become better friends and then they would turn on him and tell me all of his secrets. Which means I wasn't allowed at certain hangouts, at certain like events because his female friends were there. I honestly don't know how I ever agreed to that, but I was also like in the trenches of toxicity and sadness, and so I agreed to a lot of really, really dumb things. I was never allowed to wear any outfit in public that went past the tips of my fingers, because he didn't want me to be looked at by other men. It also got to the point where I wasn't allowed to leave the house without him, like checking to make sure that I was wearing something that was appropriate for me to leave the house in. And that's how I came up with the outfit checks my billionaire boyfriend William has me do every single day. Whenever we would go out together, like on a date, to dinner, to a club, to anything, he would make sure that I felt the need to put on makeup. And if I ever went out like this, he would make my life like a living. He'd talk about how put together other women are, about how feminine they look, about how pretty their makeup is. And he'd be like, oh, you know, you always kind of look like a boy. When I didn't look like a boy, I just didn't have a smoky eye. So that became a thing of like, okay, I know we're going on a date tonight. I have to put on makeup. I have to look like feminine and womanly for him, or he's going to ruin the night. So makeup almost became like an unspoken rule. If a man tried to talk to me when we were out, like out in public, even just asking directions, even just small talk, being like, hey, what's up? I'm Ted at an event or something like that, that was off limits. I was not allowed to talk to other men. And if another man talked to me, I was to get my boyfriend involved so that they knew I had a boyfriend and I wasn't allowed to talk to them. I wasn't allowed to ask my friends or family any advice about my relationship because he didn't want me painting him in a bad light to my friends and family. So every time he'd look at my phone, he would go right to my mom and I's text messages or my best friend and I's text messages to see if I was talking about him, and if so, how I was talking about him. Even just me asking my mom like, hey, can we talk? I really need advice was off limits. I dated this man before I was ever a content creator, but he would still make me tag him in anything that I'd post. So if I'd post a picture with a friend out and I'd tag my friend, I also then needed to post a picture with him out with me and tag him. So every time I would tag a friend, I was required then to post another photo with him and tag him. Yes, even girlfriends. He would count the number of times I tagged them, and then he'd make sure that I tagged him that same number of times so that they knew I cared more about my boyfriend than I cared about anyone else in my life. This all sounds so crazy now that I'm like saying it out loud. This ex was very insecure about other men. So if a hot guy were to walk by or there was like a hot actor on the screen, he would literally stare at me to see my reaction. And if I made any face, even looked at a person like accidentally, it would become the biggest fight in the world. So I got used to just staring down whenever like a hot man would be near me, whether they were walking by or on the screen. I would just kind of look at the ground, just so my ex knew that I wasn't looking at the person. Even though half the time I wouldn't even notice them, like he would notice them before me, and then I'd get in trouble for like looking in the direction of something when like I didn't even know that there was a guy there. I was basically this man's like private photographer, and one of the rules that he had on vacation was that I had to look excited when taking pictures of him. This sounds crazy, but if he would ask me to take photos of him and I would not have a smile on my face, it was the end of the world. And we would take photos for hours and hours, just photos of him until he got the perfect one. And whenever that smile would start to fade, it would start a fight. And I still don't even really know why. I think it was just he wanted to control me. We had an open phone policy, which meant that he could grab my phone at any time and take a look at anything. But for some reason, it never worked in reverse. I don't know why I never pushed back on that. I think I was just really scared of him towards the end and didn't want to deal with like the emotional suffering he would put me through if I ever brought up anything. But he would grab my phone at any time. Even I remember one time we were driving and I had my phone. I was texting my best friend. I was texting her about him and how he was making me feel, and he knew that. So he pulled over on the side of the road and demanded that I hand him my phone. I just remember being in the car as like other cars were just whipping by because we were on the side of the road on a freeway. And I was like, dude, please take my phone, look at it. Like, there's nothing going on. Can we please just like get off of this freeway and pull over in a parking lot? That didn't happen. He actually ended up grabbing my phone and throwing it outside of the car. And I had to go in the grass by the freeway to look for it because he was so mad that I was talking to my best friend about it. My best friend is a girl and I was asking her advice. I just realized this video is already getting long, so I think I'll just have to make a part 2. But to anyone that's experiencing things like this is not normal. Like, you might love him, you might feel like, oh, this only happens occasionally and he's so wonderful. The other, like 90% of the time, it will get worse, it will get more frequent, and eventually it will take over your life. Trust me, I lived it. And speaking from experience, living through one of these relationships, the second that I left him, my life took off. My career took off. My emotions have never been more stable. I've never been more confident. I've never felt more myself than when I finally got rid of him in my life. So if you're going through something similar, leave him, sis. Leave him. I cannot believe I ever let a man control me like that. Never again.